Policies succeed and fail, not only because of economics or politics, but because of how they resonate with the people they are meant to serve. Psychology helps us understand the motivations behind behavior and the social dynamics that influence communities. If Nigeria is to thrive, our policies must be human-centered. Our engagement must be empathetic and economic growth. Which way Nigeria? The way forward must be guided by psychological insight. Number one, its citizens are burdened by untreated psychological distress. 3, engagement. Psychology equips us with tools to foster trust, empathy. Your mission, support, and commitment to academic excellence have made this conference possible. By championing psychology as a discipline that can transform society, you have given us the platform to engage with the world and to contribute meaningfully to Nigerians' future. We are grateful to your leadership and encouragement. As we deliberate over the coming days, let us remember, psychology is not abstract theory. It is a practical instrument for transformation. It is the bridge between policy and people, between governance and growth. In Nigeria, the answer lies in embracing psychology as a driving force, human-centered, where engagement is rooted of education to worry. This conference will help us decide which way. The positive proposals of our learned presenters will enlighten our minds in considering which way forward. You all find them exciting. Happy listening. Professor Ejike Hyacinth Mbenkemdi, HOD. Thank you.
Signifies that he has made us to feel comfortable. And that gives me the empowerment to now invite our Vice Chancellor, Professor Michaels Aloy Okolie, heavily represented by our Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Chikenwoha, our daddy, to declare this conference officially open. You can do better than this now.
Thank you. Our special guest and our mommy, for years, I've not seen you. I'm lucky to see you today. And I'm happy that you are in good health. We thank God for keeping you alive to attend this conference. All our guests and our students, great ESUT. Great ESUT. We thank God you are here in your numbers to support this event. I want to stand on already established protocol to say that I'm welcoming everybody here on behalf of our Vice Chancellor, Professor Aloysius Michaels Okolie, who is unavoidably absent. He has traveled to Abuja for a crucial meeting. and asked me to represent him. And I want also to thank the organizers for gathering all this number of students to grace this occasion. It is not easy. And I'm sure the PG students are here because this is another forum for them to learn more of the course they are doing. When we came in 2022, one of the issues we raised was this issue of conferences. And we continue to re-emphasize that departments and faculties should hold conferences. And we know it's a way of gathering people to rub minds in their quest to discover solutions to problems. And I'm happy when I came in here to see the team. Because I know sometimes when you have a problem or you have an issue with somebody, they will say, are you sure he has no psychological means? It means that the person is going astray. And when you say, which way Nigeria? It shows that Nigeria has a problem. Serious problem. And I'm happy that the experts we have here will help to unravel that problem and solutions. So it's good for our students, and it's also good for the staff. Because this is an opportunity to exchange ideas and also to expose the university to global space. That's the essence. And I'm happy when you say that of social sciences, it means that this department has come to stay. And the kudos to the HOD and his team. It is not easy. You have set the record. That others, maybe from other departments, are here. They will learn from you so that we expose some of these issues, affecting our society. And I believe that our students are here with their papers and their biros to pick one or two things that will help them in their program. It's a learning thing. It's not just coming to listen or want to stand on this platform on behalf of my Vice Chancellor, Professor Aloysius Michaels Okolie, to declare this conference open in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you very much, our Deputy Vice Chancellor, for that wonderful speech. Now, speaking to us from Nasarawa State. So on that note, we are going to focus on
good afternoon, my dear.
That is our National President, Nigerian Psychological Association, speaking to us from Nasarawa State University. Round of applause, please. Please be patient for the technical issues. They're rectifying it, please. While we wait for them, one of our staff also just came in. I mentioned her before. Dr. Adobe Chika Eze is an industrial psychologist too. You are highly welcome. Okay. Are we ready or? Okay.
Psychologist at Enugu State University of Science and Technology.
Yes. We have a very
my dear psychologist at Enugu State University.
As I was recognizing one of us our mother and their humble mentor just came in, our associate dean of the faculty,
as we are. Good afternoon, my dear psychologists at Enugu State University of Science and Technology. I am Dr. Abubakar Musa Tafida, the president of the Nigerian Psychological Association. As we are aware, the MPA is a parent body of all psychologists in Nigeria. As you prepare for your conference, my prayers are with you, because I have seen from your flyer that this year conference will be a reversed conference, because the teams and sub-teams are aimed at addressing some tropical issues affecting Nigeria. Issue of inequality, issue of insecurity, and what have you. Psychologists are at the forefront in ensuring that we have a befitting country and nation called Nigeria. I believe this year conference by the department will map out some strategies that, if government adopt, will assist in ensuring that these issues are well addressed. I therefore call on the department to stand firm. I call on colleagues at the department to ensure that they give this conference a befitting attendance and a wider publicity. This is a landmark because it will pave way for other departments to come up with other tropical issues that can be used. Inequality in workplace and other facets of life. Therefore, I urge the department to organize herself very well and ensure that this conference is given the widest publicity and the widest attendance. I wish you the best as this conference will come, so that together we can all contribute to the nation building, so that we can have Nigeria of our dream. Long live the Department of Psychology at ESUT. Long live the university, and long live the Nigerian Psychological Association. I remain yours, Dr. Abubakar Musa Tafida, the president of the association. Thank you very much.
Zeal in ensuring that the effort of the Nigerian scholar is made relevant to nation building and humanity. You will all recall that in November 2025, the union organized a higher education psychology conference at Abuja, Nigeria, in which African scholars and others in the diaspora examined the effective use of psychology in addressing human development challenges and national development processes. Scholars agreed, in addition to the big gap between theory and practice, that what has held Africa back is our mental adhesion to Euro-American theories. These theories, they have failed us all the time, because each time we try to apply them to intervene and to find solutions to our myriad problems, it has always been very, very difficult, because they do not yield any context-specific relevance. Our scholars also observed that despite the avalanche of studies and remarkable progress in context-specific theorizing by African psychologists, dissemination is still at its lowest ebb, not to mention that social marketing of psychological knowledge is virtually non-existent in Africa. This is what accounts for the non-recognition of psychology as a profession in most parts of Africa. Whereas some of our colleagues have accused our political leaders of psychophobia, it remains true that the African psychologist has remained shy of politics for a very, very long time. The result is that our impact on leadership has hardly been indexed by any parameter so far. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the idea and reality of this conference, therefore, in this conference, Nigeria is undoubtedly the focus. PAPU look forward to novel strategies by which Nigeria's implementation and evaluation. You all need to go further to identify critical aspects of our national life that need attention, such as poverty alleviation, job creation, human capacity development, security. If national well-being means peace, prosperity, and progress, it should be possible to say that this is the contribution of this particular conference to our collective will to salvage not only Nigeria, but Africa from the shackles of underdevelopment. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I indulge you all to kindly share pictorial proceedings and communique of the conference with the PAPU Secretariat through my office to enable us disseminate on the PAPU website and the African Drumbeat, its official newsletter. I'm truly very, very excited, and best wishes. Thank you.
Of Dr. Engineer Prince Lawrence Eze, because he has limited time. He will leave as soon as possible. So, Engineer, we are inviting you to the podium, please, for your citation.
The Vice Chancellor and the management team of Enugu State University of Science and Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to stand on.
Often determines its developmental trajectory. This is why is this necessary, we might ask ourselves. First, because mental health is directly linked to national productivity. Anyone who is not mentally sound, who is mentally imbalanced, there is no way the person can, directly engage or contribute meaningfully to the national growth. It's not possible anywhere in the world. A population battling anxiety, depression, hopelessness, addiction, trauma, and chronic stress cannot function while ignoring the emotional and psychological well-being of our people. Ethnic and religious tensions are often fueled by fear. So, when we have areas where we can, as we are building schools, building all that, can build institutions where we have experts, psychologists who can sit down with young people, engage with them, talk with them, ascertain precisely, the cause of the problems and why they think the way they think. I do not expect that we will be where we are today. Most of these issues you find are young people who are hiding in the forest doing, being it the Fulanis, being it the people of the Onongo men and all that stuff. They do these things majorly because of psychological problems. Because you want to gain fast wealth. It is definitely a psychological problem. But if we have an institution that deals directly with this, I think that will be one of the best way we can say that Nigeria is already on the right path. Inclusion of behavioral experts in governance and public policy, which I've mentioned. School systems that prioritize emotional intelligence and character development. So, why we talk about building such institutions, by government, even the school authority, funny behavioral attitudes that we find out in some of our students. Bring them together, identify them, sit them down, counsel them, talk to them. And you can see that when they no longer have access to resources to continue to fund their drug abuse, they engage in petty theft. If the petty theft is no longer helping, if they have access to guns, they start robbing homes. Youth empowerment policies, that's number 5. Youth empowerment policies that address both economic and psychological needs. I'll talk a little bit on this. So last 2 years, I go home and I met a similar situation that I just mentioned, and I was able to try to get a few of them, the ones that agreed, bring them together, and I engaged people who rehabilitated them. And last Christmas, I saw they came because if you rehabilitate such people and you cannot constructively engage them, you have just succeeded in achieving nothing. So because we succeeded in getting them constructively engaged, when the guy came back, because he went offshore to work in an oil and gas company where we actually sent them to work, I didn't know him again. I didn't recognize them. They came, they were prostrating, say, "My prince, do you recognize me?" I said, "No." He said, "I was so-and-so person that he turned his life around." When he came back home, because they used to give them 3 months off, and he came home, that the mother did not recognize. He was telling them that he was the person. They say it was not him. Why? Because, and he will start doing some horrible things you never imagined he could do. But once someone gets meaningfully engaged and doing something responsible and reasonable, there is no way the person's brain will not switch back again to the kind of brain that you and I are functioning with today. So number 6, leadership models rooted in empathy, accountability, and national service. Ladies and gentlemen, Nigerian transformation will not come only from changing policies. It will come from understanding people. Sustainable development begins in the mind. When we heal minds, we strengthen communities. When we strengthen communities, we strengthen the nation. The future of Nigeria depends not only on what government does, but on how citizens think, behave, relate, and believe. We must build a Nigeria where policy is informed by humanity, where governance reflects compassion, and where national development includes the psychological well-being of every citizen. Indeed, the question which says which way Nigeria should lead us toward a nation that values not only economic growth, but human flourishing, not only political power, but emotional and social stability, not only national ambition, but collective well-being. Nigeria can rise again. Nigeria can heal. Nigeria can thrive. But to do so, we must place the human mind and human dignity at the center of national development. Thank you very much, and God bless all of us, and God bless Enugu State, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Please, more round of applause. Thank you very much, my Honorable Commissioner. Many of us have been hearing Prince of Mbrumbu, Prince of Mbrumbu. Here is the Prince of Mbrumbu. Thank you very much for that wonderful speech. Chairman Committee, please try to get his speech, because we are going to have our communique for possible publishing. All right, please permit me to, our Vice Chancellor is the chief host, and we have hosts and co-hosts. I'm calling now on our daddy, Professor Nicholas Atama, the Faculty Dean, Social Sciences, to come and welcome his children for this wonderful event. Daddy, you're welcome.
Only that the commissioner was not there. Yes, and we have somebody in our midst. When the Vice Chancellor, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, before he made his speech, he recognized our mommy, the great prof. These are the people, the pillar of psychology and the pillar of Faculty of Social Sciences. Mommy, you are welcome. And we appreciate God for your health, for the good health. And we thank you for honoring this invitation. It's not easy. Thank you, ma. And for our visitors, we thank you for coming. We have all listened to the topic. First of all, I have to commend Department of Psychology. Each time we gather at the faculty level, I always announce that Department of Psychology is first in everything. In terms of neatness in the classroom, you took over from economics, you have taken first. In terms of staff cooperation, you are there. So I don't know how I can describe this department. I feel like joining you. But it is not possible, because when you talk, you don't talk about all things being equal. And this all things being equal is already in my blood. So I can't join you. Anything we say in economics, we talk about what? Ceteris paribus, which is all things being equal. And since you don't say that in your department, it will be difficult. Because when I enter, I'll be speaking German. Yes, Department of Psychology, the first to organize international conference, the Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities. I am so happy to witness what is happening here. Well organized, no noise. And I am not surprised, though, because the chairman is a Reverend Father. You know how they behave. So, Chairman LLC, I doff my cap, even though I'm not wearing cap here. Everything is well organized. I appreciate this department. Now I'm going to the topic, Which Way Nigeria? I think this used to be a song by Sonny Okosun. Yes, Which Way Nigeria? When this man was asking this question, Nigeria was relatively a good country. It's not true? Comparing his time, that the time he sang this song, and now, So it is timely that psychology departments have decided to bring back this question, and they have gathered experts from different parts of the world to come and help us answer this question, which way Nigeria? I am sure that each and every one of us here are with our biro flowing so that we can get the gist. The commissioner has already opened up part of it. Which way Nigeria? He has told us the problems and how we can go about it. Thank the Almighty, he's in government. So, Commissioner, you start from Enugu State to see that our youth are gathered. Because if we start from Enugu State, if we correct our youth and they are behaving well, others will start copying from us and things will go fine. So thank you for your speech. We appreciate you, sir. So we gathered experts. My professor, who is coming from University of Nigeria, Nsukka, is here, physically here. And we are going to listen to some other people who, because of one thing or the other, maybe security, maybe flight ticket, and so on and so forth. Because if somebody has to fly from abroad to come down here, the department will bear the cost. So maybe in sympathy with the department, they have decided to speak from there. Am I right? Yeah, so we will also listen to them, have patience. Then at the end of the day,
he earned the bachelor's degree, BSc in psychology in 1994, and won the departmental prize as the best graduating student in the Department of Psychology. University of Nigeria, Nsukka for the 1993-1994 academic session. He also received the MSc and PhD degrees in experimental psychology from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka in 2005 and 2009, respectively. His PhD thesis won the Vice Chancellor's Postgraduate Prize as the overall best PhD thesis in the university for 2008 and 2009 academic session. Also, his PhD thesis won the best PhD thesis in the Faculty of Social Sciences for 2008-2009 set. Professor C. Mefo has taught in the University of Nigeria, Nsukka for 23 years. He has supervised 9 experimental psychologists up to doctoral level. Professor Philip C. Mefo is active in research. His research interest, Professor Philip C. Mefo has also served as external examiner for both postgraduate and undergraduate programs in many Nigerian universities. He has also examined PhD candidates from the University of Zululand, South Africa, and the United States International University, Africa in Nairobi, Kenya. Professor Philip C. Mefo has served the University of Nigeria, Nsukka in several administrative capacities. He is the current Deputy Provost, College of Postgraduate Studies, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He holds children. Please, can we have Professor Chukwuemeka Mefo on the podium? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, I think I have to stand on existing protocols, but let me also thank the Dean of the Faculty and his Associate Dean. Glad to meet me developmental psychology in 1989. So, national policy is, but it is pregnant. It is pregnant because policy does not exist on its own. It has direct relationship to the people. In fact, public policy includes decisions, actions, strategies developed by government to address societal problems, to achieve collective goals. So there is no way we can talk policy without having it, linking it to the people. And of course, policy has some basics. It doesn't exist on its own sake. There must be a purpose. Why that it must be government-backed. That's public policy, often developed by ministries or government agencies. It's actionable. It's not just a mere idea. It's something that is implementable and most often backed by law. And of course, because it has a purpose, it guides decision. Now, public policy represents, just like I've said, it represents the practical expression of governance and then reflects how nations allocate resources, solve problems, and shape the lives of its citizens. Whenever you talk about policy, you must look at the people. You see whether a policy is succeeding or not succeeding by looking at the people. So the people is just the main goal of policy. So policy is not merely about government action, it is about human outcomes. Every policy, whether it is policy on education, on agriculture, on security, whatever it is, seeks to influence human behavior and improve societal condition. But of course, every day we make policy, but people are still poor. People are still insecure. So we can ask this unsettling question. And the question is, why do many well-intentioned public policies in Nigeria fail to produce? The first thing is that traditional approaches are largely technocratic and the top-down. Technocratic is that they are often produced by experts. They are often made by experts. They are top-down. They are top-down. Top-down is coming from the leaders, maybe from the government, or a policy is made in a policy in education, for example, is made in Abuja, and then they disseminate it to all the states without consulting teachers, consulting students, or even parents. So the problem with the current policy arrangement is that it is usually technocratic and top-down. It also has this over-reliance on economic indicators. How do we know when we're progressing? Government always often banks on economically deterministic models. GDP often, when we want to say that the country is developing, we check about the GDP, talk about the revenues, talk about the oil revenue, the infrastructural development, and things like them. But that's not the only issue about development. As we go on, we'll talk about sustainable development. Traditional models assume rational actors. Traditional models, when they are making policies in Abuja, they believe that they will comply. They will understand, they will comply. But psychology tells us that humans are not rational. Policy outcomes are mediated by cognition, by emotion, and by social conduct is the case. Your cognition, for example, if you have fear of judgment, or contest can change, can make you not to act on a policy the way it is meant to be. Now let's look at one traditional policy. The case example is the fuel subsidy removal. In May 2023, the President Bola Tinubu himself announced that fuel subsidy is gone. Four-lettered word. Is that a policy? Just four-lettered word. If you juxtapose this statement with the features of policy we mentioned on the first slide, you will see that it is a policy because it is goal-directed, it is government-backed, it is actionable, and it guides policy. So this major economic policy was meant to stabilize public finance, but it also triggered severe short-term cost of living crisis. According to Barbara Stone, 2012, she said that this kind of policy causes what is called policy paradox. A policy to solve a problem, but you end up creating more problems. And that is what the fuel subsidy thing did. When the thing was propounded, it led to sharp rise in petroleum prices, transport and food costs surged, and lowered psychological well-being. Now, the fuel subsidy crisis was a bad policy, or maybe not a bad policy, but it wasn't a very good policy of fragile development. The point we're making here is that for you to have true development, you must also think about the well-being. But the focus has always been on economic growth. That one is not enough. So the GDP measures economic output but fails to capture the well-being. Now, another measure that helps to capture well-being is what is called the Human Development Index. So the Human Development Index incorporates quality of life, mental health, social trust, security, dignity, and the ability of citizens to live meaningful lives. Policies that ignore these factors, policies that ignore quality of life factors, like we have just mentioned, may achieve growth, economic growth, without improving quality of life. And that is not true development. For you to have a true development, the GDP must complement the HDI. Both of them must lead to sustainable national development, and it is only policies that aspire towards this society. So, to write indeed, please, who is studying? That all of that I'm saying, research has shown that public policy does not lead to development. Public policy first leads to human behavior. It affects human behavior, and well-being outcomes accumulate into developmental outcomes. So if there's a particular policy, the way people, the human behavior drives development. The point I'm making here is that whatever policy that is put out by the government, how the individuals react to it will show whether there's a development or not. If people are happy, if policy encourages positive behaviors, institutions become stronger, productivity rises, social stability improves, and development accelerates. But tell what is happening in our environment. Are we making progress or are we not? So why psychology matter for public policy and well-being? Psychology is a valuable lens for understanding behavior. It's critical. There is no other discipline that can help us understand behavior other than psychology. In fact, there's a particular event. A particular teacher reported about a student, a very young student, maybe in senior kindergarten. This student was punishment, and punishment must decrease the occurrence of a behavior. If there's punishment, then the behavior will stop. But this particular student gets punishment, but each time he increases the behavior. So, because the thing was difficult for the woman to solve, and then decided that, please, could you give me water to drink, please? Excuse me. Just watched the child and studied the situation. After some time, he started a program. And in the program, he now told the teacher, if this child is disturbing, ignore her. Only pay attention to the student when she's sitting on her seat. So whenever the girl sits on her seat, the teacher will say, see, Ujunwa is a good girl. That's how a good student will behave. And after 2 weeks of this program, the girl completely changed. So what was the problem? That the teacher was using punishment, but increased, the behavior kept on going on. It was because that thing was not punishment. It was the teacher thought it's punishment, but for the student, it's not punishment. Punishment should decrease the occurrence of a behavior. reinforcement increases it. So that punishment was reinforcement for the child because it gives the child attention. And attention is a powerful source of reinforcement. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that through experimental analysis of behavior, psychologists can understand behavior and should be able to advise the government. So psychology is key to improving national well-being in Nigeria. And of course, when you talk about well-being are often experienced psychologically. Now I talk about happiness, life satisfaction, sense of meaning and trust in society. I'm sure that many of you must have written on these topics. Yeah, one of the things we talked about traditional model is that it assumes that people are rational. But psychology maintains that people are not, because people are guided by cognition. For example, cognition shapes policy outcomes. People do not respond to policy as designed. They respond as interpreted. That's why two citizens can experience the same policy very differently. One sees it as an opportunity, the other one sees it as an exploitation. Similarly, emotion drives response. Judgment, when you have fear, increases aversion. Fear increases aversion. In 1964, the American Commissioner for Health says that cigarette smoking is dangerous to health. It's just a mere statement. Now, if we have conducted a study, actually, I and my colleague, late Dr. Valese, where we used fear to test aversion. When you put pictures of people who smoked and had cancer of the jaw and other places, people are more likely to stop smoking by that picture than just the mere statement that smoking is dangerous to health. So fear can affect the way you respond to policy. Of course, memory for events are remembered more vividly. Emotional events are remembered vividly. Anger, empathy, guilty influences actions. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that emotions has a role to play. When you bring out policy, the way I react to it, or rather, context now depends. Context is important. Maybe I react to the same policy differently based on the two contexts that I may be in at that period. Also, social context can also affect policy. Humans are deeply embedded in social context. People do not act in isolation. People conform to norms when others are doing it. If others are not doing it, why do you expect me to conform to it? So it plays a role. People are influenced by groups, culture, and identity. Who are we? The decisions of people often depend on relationships and expectations. So a technically sound policy can fail if it contradicts dominant social norms. Just a few months ago, when the United States of America attacked terrorists in Sokoto, part of the things people were saying was that the U.S. Embassy would want the North to stop Sharia. Of course, you know that is not possible because it contravenes their religion. So such a policy may not work. By cognition, ecology is not optional for policy making and engagement. Ecology is not optional for policy making and engagement. It is rather central. In fact, it was disguised as administrative problems. So psychology has a very serious role to play in policy, or in public policy especially. So how can people-centered policy? If you go back and look at our traditional policies, the traditional policy places much emphasis on economy. They have little on economy. They have little or not to talk about the human factor. So psychology can help to produce public policy, which reflects on how people actually live, not how we assume they should. Psychology is crucial for designing policy that can rebuild, not how we assume they should. Psychology is crucial for designing policy that can rebuild trust in a policy, or rather building trust as a policy, trust in a policy, or rather building trust as a policy priority, cooperation. So we can, even psychology training tells you that before you begin to talk to somebody that you want to hail or have a discussion with, you need to gain rapport. That aspect of getting rapport is building trust. So it's not a concept that is new to us. Then addressing trauma and insecurity. The head of the department mentioned this while he was making his speech. A healthy nation, or rather a healthy people makes up a healthy nation. So we must, communities affected by violence, poverty, and instability require psychological healing alongside physical reconstruction. Psychology can provide solution by improving communication. Because psychology, using behavioral techniques, we can improve communication. You know, you can say that, how do I put it? Anyway, policy must be clearly explained, not merely announced. Psychology can help government frame messages in a way that increases acceptance, reduce resistance, and encourage collective responsibility. The success of a policy often depends on how it is communicated. There's a difference between that, if you say that this thing is half empty or is half full. The psychology can help using nudges, can make such statements, you know, that can be more efficacious. Testing before scaling. We also talked about policies being top-down. Traditional policies being top-down. For example, the president on the 29th of May 2023 said, fuel subsidy is gone. That kind of policy was not tested before. So, for policies to survive or to appeal to people, there must be pilot programs. There must be participatory engagement with people. There may even be town hall meetings to seek people's opinion. There was no psychological impact assessment. So, testing before scaling means that pilot programs and behavioral trials can reveal how people will respond before the full implementation. Now, using behavioral insight, I've mentioned it above, small changes in how choices are presented. For example, if you are collecting tax and people are refusing to pay, you can say, do you know that in this community, other people are paid? You are the only, or a few of you remaining. So that can help people to pay. Engaging psychologists in governance. Psychology should not remain on the sideline. Many people have also said it here. If you are talking about policies that will affect psychological well-being, you need psychologists. So psychology should not remain on the sideline. Their expertise is crucial in shaping effective, people-oriented policies. Yeah, this is the takeaway for this short brief about the importance of psychology. I say, as we reflect on the question, which way Nigeria, the answer cannot lie in policy reform alone. I'm happy the commissioner also mentioned that. It must lie in people-centered policy reform. It's very, very critical. Someone also mentioned that reimagining in public policy in Nigeria requires reimagining the human being at the center of governance. So it's not just to change policy. You should also get those who are making the policy to change. Rather than paying attention only on economy, they should also pay attention on the well-being aspect. And it is both economy and well-being aspect that gives room to sustainable national development. Now, reimagining public policy, psychological insight units. We've already said that government is the primary agent of better. That little seminar presentation or workshop is like a conference we are doing. You present your work and professionals can criticize it and help you upgrade it. They give you some clues about what is important that you missed. And they also learn from you. It is through that process that we can begin to leave the classroom and get into the society or use our research to solve societal problems rather than just do something and then keep it at the cupboard. So I will simply conclude with this statement. I said Nigeria needs policies that genuinely improve human lives. When policies ignore human behavior, emotions, identity, trust, and well-being, they often fail, regardless of technical brilliance. If policy is about people, then psychology must be central to policy making. When policy ignores psychology, it ignores the people it wants to serve. My final statement then is, if government can bring psychology to the heart of policy making, it can unlock a powerful pathway, not just for better policy, but to a better Nigeria. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Professor Philip Mefo, for that. Make sure you get your questions ready. We may not likely take any question now for some certain reasons. Those of our speakers who want to engage in diaspora, some of them will be ready to link us with Dr. Pascal Ohaleri, who will be speaking to us from United Kingdom. Then our students, please have patience. They will go around now to start sharing you something, at least to be able to sustain yourself while we still plead for your patience. Please, technical crew, link us to Dr. Pascal Ohaleri, who will be the next speaker. After that, we can now take questions for the first speaker.
Someone is saying that they can hear me. I don't really want to speak when,
if you are communicating with someone on the ground and they can hear you, then I think it's better.
People can hear me.
Yeah, there is just need for that two-way communication from that.
Don't worry, I'm going ahead. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure for me to be here. I respect Dr. Ugwani for the invitation to speak on this conference. The conference team, which